What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Mil-Simp Tack Shooter and Historic Gaming channel, home of the weekly Steam Key giveaway. If you're new around here, stay tuned for directions on how to enter. But today we have a very special show for you, as I got to sit down and talk to none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Bluedrake42, the creator of, or better yet said, the face of Operation Harsh Doorstop, a completely free-to-play, completely moddable, open-source, tactical military simulator. The game is already beginning to shake up the industry, and when you step back and look at the big picture, the journey is just now beginning. I've heard me say it a million times before, but the future is awfully bright for us Mil-Simps. The sky is the limit, and as the genre continues to grow and grow, it's only up from here. Without any more further ado, as we talk about Operation Harsh Doorstop and the gaming industry as a whole, presenting Mr. Bluedrake42. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bluedrake, for coming and doing this.
No problem, man.
You're an inspiration to my channel, that's for sure.
Appreciate
And
it.
I've got some questions that we'll do later from my viewers. But first things first, what inspired you to make Operation Harsh Doorstop and save the scene?
Well, I don't know. Saving the scene is yet to be seen on whether we can do that or not. Hopefully we can. But yeah, I mean, we talked about this earlier. I think the main things is just I wanted to create something that after a good amount of time I realized I don't think anybody else was going to create. And we could talk about all of the potential reasons why for some reason people are not working on this project before us, but I think the idea is that we wanted to create something sorry, give me a second to collect my thoughts. I've been going back and forth all day, and I just got back from working on this script. My brain's all frazzled now. We wanted to create a project that was a free tactical shooter because we think that a free tactical shooter needs to exist for a variety of reasons. It got to a point where I don't think any of the other development studios that I followed were really gonna do it. Not that they couldn't do it, but they just weren't going to. Obviously, coming from the Project Reality team, there is a lot of people out there who used to work on completely free, completely open projects that I think have really benefited the industry. I mean, there's lots of commercial games and lots of really good things that have come out of these projects that people made in their spare time just for the love of the game. But as time went on, I think a lot of those teams, or maybe just the culture in general, started to move more towards a profit-oriented model, or just a profit-motivated mentality. And while I think that there's a space for that, and there's lots of profit-motivated games that are absolutely good, and I'm sure that there will continue to be more games in the future that are profit-motivated, that are perfectly acceptable games. I think that there's also a lot of problems with that mentality when it gets to a point where the only games that are out there are profit-motivated and there are no other alternatives. That's when there starts being a serious problem, because a lot of these games that are more open, like Project Reality, even if you were to look all the way back to like the original Doom series and how id Software released their version of the Doom engine open source completely for free, to see how the Doom community, the original Doom community, has just expanded and flourished. That all happened not because there was a profit motivated decision to share all of that work and to get the community kind of started creating all of these amazing modding communities and stuff like that. It was just for the love of the project. And I think that a big aspect of wanting to create Operation Harsh Doorstop, not just for myself, but everybody else who has contributed to this project, is because we want to have something like that in the industry again. Not only do we want to have something like that, I think something like that needs to happen. And it's unfortunate that our studio was the studio that had to make this happen, because I, for the life of me, thought, and I was waiting for a long time for a whole bunch of other studios that had the resources, that had the means to do this, to actually do that, to create a free, open tactical shooter, not because they wanted to make money, but because they wanted to give back to the community. But as time gone on, and I'm over 30 now, I mean, it's been over 10 years of like waiting for something like that to happen. Back in the Project Reality days, when we were all waiting for Project Reality 2 or just something, anything to come out that would kind of continue that community development spirit that Project Reality had, but in a modern engine that was actually sustainable and had kind of like its own level of sovereignty, because Project Reality is built on EA's Battlefield 2, which they don't really have the rights to. So having a project that kind of shares that communal effort aspect that Project Reality had, but on a standalone engine, was something that I think all of us knew had a lot of potential and really could be fantastic. And even though there's so many games and so many studios and so many people that owe their entire careers to games like Project Reality, myself included, where we got so much out of that project that was developed by people that were not profit motivated at all. It's odd to me that there are not more studios looking to give something back by making something that's completely free without some kind of catch in order to make sure that they make a profit. And I think Operation Harsh Doorstop was us just getting to a point and realizing that if nobody else, that nobody else is going to do this, and that we're going to have to take a shot at doing it, because if we don't, there's a good chance it just won't exist. And I think that was how it started many years ago, and we kind of started out really on a pretty uphill battle, because there was a lot of there was a lot of reason to believe that there was no way that we could pull something like this off. But now we've gotten to a point where we have created a fully functional first-person shooter. And again, it's not the absolute best first-person shooter, but we've created a starting point to build this project, this completely free project, in the same spirit that some of these other non-profit projects that came before us were built, but this time in a standalone engine. And I think the potential for us to not only create a game that's a really fun game that actually serves as a platform to let people like yourself and I actually do our jobs, either running our communities, making modifications so that way we can create content and we can host our own servers and have like our own communal spaces. I think Operation Harsh Doorstop is going to be a great tool for that.
You mentioned PR as being a big inspiration, and we know games, we won't mention names, but games that like similar to games that rhyme with WAD. We know that they
you can be open about it, doesn't matter.
All right, so everybody knows Squad was initially Project Reality's movement to a more modern engine initially, and we all know that they veered away, unfortunately. Things about PR that you wanted to see in Squad and never came. Not only, I know you will mention things like you've already said, modding and open source, and which is probably the biggest. But besides that, what do you think is most important to what should have became the Squad and will possibly come to Operation Harsh Doorstop? Will it be things like more vehicles, more factions? Considering actual things within the game itself.
Yeah, so the main pitch between the Operation Harsh Doorstop, I think, is the same pitch. Again, we talked about this in the previous conversation, but I think that Operation Harsh Doorstop's pitch is the same pitch behind other projects like Stalker Anomaly, or even like Project Reality, or a whole bunch of other projects that are all community projects that have taken a significant amount of time to be made. You look at Stalker Anomaly, I would say the amount of time that it has really taken to develop something like Stalker Anomaly might even be significantly longer than it took to make the Stalker games themselves. But now that it's been done, I don't think anyone here would argue that Stalker Anomaly isn't significantly better than any Stalker game that had been released prior. Primarily because, not only does it include those Stalker games, but it improves upon them significantly. And I think that's the pitch for Operation Harsh Doorstop. There is a strong track record of projects similar to ours that are free, that are community developed, that are open, that have an open SDK, that eventually, albeit very slowly, but eventually have the potential to become not just as good as their commercial competitors, but significantly better. You look at Project Reality. I don't think anyone would argue that Project Reality isn't significantly better than Battlefield 2. Well, there might be some people that prefer the gameplay of Battlefield 2, but from a content and features standpoint, Project Reality is significantly beyond the feature set of what Battlefield 2 started out as. I think Operation Harsh Doorstop is going to have a very similar trajectory. This is a project that is community funded, that is completely free. It is going to take a significant amount of time, and even now, we don't have as many features as Squad has, in the same way that, other games did not have as many features as the games that either they were based on or that they were inspired by had. But as time goes on, I think the difference between us and other titles is that we can continuously improve upon this project, and that our development team is structured in a way where it's not going to get to a point where, like, as soon as we're not making enough money, we're just going to lay everybody off and, make a sequel and basically start from scratch. This is something that can continuously improve forever into the foreseeable future in ways that might even out-endure the commercial endurance that some of these other studios, some of the profit-motivated studios have. And it is a gamble. Supporting Operation Harsh Doorstop and working on Operation Harsh Doorstop, it is definitely a leap of faith, for myself included. Where we've put a lot of time and effort into this because we see the potential trajectory that this could have, similar to many other projects like Stalker Anomaly and other things like that. But I think even though it is a gamble, if we succeed, the payoff is huge. And while a couple of years ago, I think that there was a lot of people that were skeptical on whether we could pull this off. And I would say that skepticism is not necessarily unfounded. Again, I think it's kind of insane that our community was the one to actually attempt this when there's so many other people that probably should have at least tried to do this before us. But for whatever reason, the powers that be, a lot of the other people out there are just not interested in creating community-driven free games because there's not really as much money in it. But for us, the way that we think, our perspective on this matter is completely different. And I think that if we're able to develop as far as we have developed, if we continue at the rate that we're working, I think that it's very easy to see how we could eventually get to a point where we're meeting, if not exceeding, the number of features and the amount of content that some of our more direct comparisons could have. Again, like Operation Harsh Doorstop in its current form, it's mainly just infantry combat. It's kind of more similar to like an insurgency source game, but it is a completely functional game, and it is a completely functional project that, a couple of years ago, I think it would have been hard for me to convince people that we were actually capable of building something like this. But now that we actually have, I think that in a couple of years, if we continue getting the support that we have, if we have more people coming on board to help, we could absolutely have all of the exact same features, if not significantly more, than Squad has, or any other game like Hell Let Loose, or anything like that. Even games like Arma. Arma has, one of the big things that Arma has over games like Squad is they have absolutely massive terrain. Well, in Unreal Engine 5, which I feel like is something that is inevitably going to be an upgrade path for our game, they introduce a variety of features, such as origin rebasing, that allows you to have terrain that is similarly sized to Arma. So, again, I think the main pitch here is similar to Stalker Anomaly, similar to Project Reality. This is a community developed project that potentially has a significantly longer term lifespan than our commercial counterparts, just because of the way that we're developed. With that taken into consideration, even though it might take us longer to get there, the end goal of what we have the potential to achieve could be way beyond what I think even fully funded studios have achieved, just because of the way that we function.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Like games like even Quake, a lot of people don't realize that every 3D game
Right.
that exists,
Perfect. Yes.
deep
Exactly.
down, has Quake code in it. You
Exactly.
had Doom, and then Doom was the first 3D game, which is actually 2.5D quasi 3D, and then Quake was
Yes.
the first actual interactive 3D game. And every game since it, from Virtual Fighter to every 3D game, has that Quake code deep in it. But what's more important, like you said, because I asked, and what is what's so special about Project Reality, uh, and Operation Harsh Doorstop following in Project Reality's footsteps? And I think you're exactly right that modding and the community is what's different from these
Yes.
basically soulless
Yes.
corporations that are only focused on revenue. That's all.
And I think that's something that people hopefully are going to quickly realize is a real selling point for Operation Harsh Doorstop. And I think we're also very self-aware of that as well. I think there's a lot of other games out there where they kind of put in mod support as like an afterthought. Even if you look at Arma, I mean, Arma's got some incredible mod support. But I don't think they really started taking it seriously until DayZ started taking off. Because I think modding was something that was like, okay, it's inevitable, people are always going to do it, but it's not really the main thing that this game is about. But ever since DayZ took off, and that sold them, oh my god, how many hundreds of thousands of copies did they probably sell because of the DayZ mod? That's when I think they started to realize the potential for mod support. And I think Arma is one of the few examples of a studio that's really put a lot of work into creating mod support for their game. And I think with Operation Harsh Doorstop, we're starting this game from the beginning with that in mind, as opposed to I think other studios that make a game first and then they kind of let in mod support, and then they like maybe they'll see some benefits, or and then once they see benefits from mod support they'll maybe introduce more. The way that we function is we're building a game that is entirely modifiable out of the gate, where that is the entire objective from the beginning. And I think that hopefully once we launch, even though people are going to come in and they're going to say, hey, why doesn't this game have every single feature that like Squad or, Hell Let Loose or Call of Duty have like out of the box, they're going to then poke around and go, oh, well, you know what? I can actually modify this a lot, and I can explore community creation significantly more than I could explore into these other games. I think this is going to be worth my time to still play, even though it doesn't have as many features as Squad. And then once that loop starts, when people start realizing it, we start getting more players. Hopefully, we'll start getting more, supporters on Patreon, on Discord. Then, ironically, in addition to us having all of this mod support, if we have more supporters, then our core development progress is going to speed up as well, because we're going to have more supporters. And then, if that happens and this takes off, it might get to a point where I don't even have to sit here and convince you that, oh well, hey, the game's still worth playing, even though we don't have helicopters. What's going to happen when Operation Harsh Doorstop gets to a point where it's like, yeah, we have mod support, yeah, we have single player, but we also have helicopters and jets and not just every single thing that all of the other big boy games have, but more. then it's going to get to a point where there is just no excuse at all. And I think that's like our trajectory. And luckily, unlike most other projects that I've seen that kind of try to provide an alternative to Squad, our project is entirely proprietary. So yeah, I know, God bless their hearts, but there was the project that was really trying to turn Battlefield 3 into kind of like a tactical shooter platform, which is super cool, and I loved that project, and I wish it was getting more traction. But at the same time, I think one of the issues there is that it's not their IP. Battlefield 3 is built from the ground up, not to allow modding, but specifically to not allow modding. And I think if you're building on top of a project that is fundamentally constructed to not be modifiable, then it's not even an uphill battle. It's just kind of doomed. And I think the cool thing about our project is, like, yes, it's gonna take more time because we're starting from scratch, but the fact that we have started from scratch, as soon as we make a game, that game is entirely ours, and we have full rights to modify it and distribute it however we choose. You look at the Battlefield, again, using the Battlefield 3 tactical mod as an example, you still have to buy Battlefield 3 in order to get that game. That simple barrier to entry. They're never going to be able to have that mod be on Steam. They're never going to be able to reach that number of people because it's not going to be easy to install. It's not going to be easy to play. That is always going to be a monkey on their back that's really going to stop them from being able to reach their full potential. You have to have something that is from the ground up. You have to have something that's standalone. And yes, that's hard, but that's what we've achieved. That's what we've already created. And now the only objective for us is just to make it better. So yeah, that is the vision.
Battlefield 3 reality mod was incredible. Did you take part in the test?
Super sick.
It was so good,
yeah,
and then now you look
so
and it's, I guess they pop once in a while when they drop an update, but it's almost like dead silence. And they even, when they first released with their trailer and everything, it kind of blew up on YouTube. And everybody was talking about, fans are making a better Battlefield than EA. I mean, I know that was the title of one of my videos, and
you cut out.
It's true.
There you go. You cut out there for a second,
but
I understand. I got the most of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that Battlefield reality mod, it blew up on YouTube when they first released. And then
it's kind of a shame. I really wish, and this is what I'm kind of hoping. I don't know if this is ever going to happen, but if there's one thing that I wish could happen with Operation Harsh Doorstop, is I wish more people would come together and help us make the game. Because, again, reality mod is super awesome, super cool. But how much further would Operation Harsh Doorstop be along if all of those guys were working on an Operation Harsh Doorstop mod? Or even helping the Operation Harsh Doorstop project, then working on Battlefield 3? Because they've done a whole bunch of stuff in that mod that I wish we had done so far. Like, they've got really nice user interfaces. They've got all sorts of stuff that must have taken them 10 times as long to implement.
Oh yeah, for sure. They could have. Then
it would have taken to make it Unreal. Like Unreal, it's like it's like the difference of trying to working in Battlefield, developing in Battlefield 3 is like trying to take your head and smashing it through a brick wall. Trying to develop an Unreal Engine is like walking through a waterfall. Like it's just a fundamental difference in how difficult those things are built to be to walk through.
And really, their main selling point, and I think everyone will agree with me that everybody was so hyped for, is the difference between PR. The difference between PR and BF3, BF2, and BF3 is the implementation of destruction.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing. You know what else has really, really good destruction?
Operation Harsh Doorstop.
No,
I was about to say
potentially, but what's another game that's based in Unreal that probably has significantly more destruction than even the Battlefield games have?
That game you covered.
No, you're gonna know it. If you're not thinking about it, it's super obvious. It should be right. It's gonna be a dumb answer. Stupid answer.
Oh, you're talking about Fortnite.
I'm talking about fucking Fortnite. But what is Fortnite? What engine is Fortnite built on?
Yeah, the proprietary Unreal Engine. Did you see what they did to Unreal Tournament? All the old games, they shut down all the original servers. You didn't see that?
Very possibly, but the thing is that Fortnite's built on Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is
Exactly.
open. That's the exact same engine that we're built on. In fact, the destruction system that we prototyped, I don't know if you saw this. I can show you the
Yes,
GIF.
I do remember.
That system is built utilizing the same methodology that Fortnite uses. That was our idea, because Fortnite has significant amounts of destruction. Yes, it looks stupid because it's a kid's game, but it looks stupid not because the technology isn't capable of looking dope. It's because it was built that way. It was stylized. But from a technical standpoint, what they're actually doing there, and again, Fortnite, keep in mind, Fortnite's got 100 players. It's got helicopters. It's got aircraft. I mean, when they put it in there, it's got vehicles. Fortnite has every single thing that Battlefield 3 had and more from a technical standpoint. If the only difference between their destruction system and a Battlefield 3 destruction system is just stylizing it so it looks cool, and you absolutely could do that, and we actually have. That's what we did. We basically created a demo where it was like, all right, what if we utilize the exact same concept of Fortnite from a destruction standpoint, but we made the destruction look realistic, even though under the hood it's the exact same system as Fortnite. We did that. It looks like Battlefield Bad Company 2 destruction, because basically what you do is you take Fortnite, but then you spawn a bunch of rubble and particle effects over top of it in order to just make it, and then you also put it inside of a frame. So instead of, in Fortnite you can like wipe out the bottom of a house, but then it's just like floating there. Well, it's like, well, just don't let them destroy the support pillars of the structure, so that way, even though it's all destructible, you still have kind of like a frame of a house there.
Exactly.
And we did that, and it looks great. It looks like Battlefield Bad Company 2. And that really turned a light on our head. And it's like, man, you know what that means? It means it is only a matter of time before we can implement the exact same amount of destructibility that Fortnite has into our game, because they're the exact same engine. Not only are they the exact same engine, but they're developed by Epic Games. And Epic Games has actually released a significant amount of information about how they develop Fortnite into their Unreal communities. That's actually how we've developed a lot of things in Operation Harsh Doorstop, because Unreal actually directly helped, because they're incentivized to do this. The Epic Games is incentivized to actually release a lot of information about the games that they make in order to help other developers make their own games. They've released a lot of information about how they did Fortnite vehicles. They released a lot of information about how they made Fortnite destruction. Getting those features into Operation Harsh Doorstop is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Again,
well, you just answered one of my viewers' questions.
It is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's my point. If we could get everyone to stop wasting their time working on modifications or working on projects for other games that are just inherently going to be limited because those games are intentionally stopping you from reaching your full potential. If we could bring all of those people together and work on Operation Harsh Doorstop with laser focus, we could have full destruction within 12 months easily, or sooner.
That's awesome.
And the only thing stopping that from happening is everybody just focusing and working together and making this happen. So I hope after we launch the game, people are going to really realize that that's the case, and people are hopefully going to start spending more time helping us and helping us make this better. Because we all want this, right? We all want this. We all want a free game that is exactly like Squad, but with all of the features of Battlefield 3. That's it. That's the pitch right there. We want that. But with the modability of, like, I don't know, Ravenfield or Gary's mod, and no emotes. That's it. That's the pitch. That's what we want. So let's just make it.
Hit the links below, boys. Patreon link below. Hit it.
Just stop. Well, not even Patreon. So here's the other thing. I tell people all the time. If you can't donate money, donate your mind. Donate your brain. Because there's lots of things that we need help with. Even if it's just, in fact, one of the, what I was working on when I had to step away, the main thing I'm working on right now is we're actually building a website that lists every single thing that needs to be done for us to finish the game.
Oh, that's awesome.
And once we've built that, every single time somebody complains and they're going to be like, oh, why don't you have tanks yet? We're not going to argue with them. We're just going to be like, here's the website. There's the thing for tanks. Go fucking make it, please. Or just wait for us to make it. But it's going to get to this point where if everyone wants this, unless everybody's lying And not everybody wants this, and everybody just wants to, like, play the equivalent of Fortnite for the rest of your lives, which is fine. I don't know, maybe somebody want that. But assuming that what I just said, again, the pitch, what we want is we want Squad for free, but with all of the features that Battlefield 3 had, and with the mod support of something like Gary's mod or Ravenfield. That's it. That's
and
what
eventually the amount of content PR has.
And eventually the amount of content that PR has. That's what we want. That's it, right?
Sounds like my dream game.
Let's go.
Now, my channel
do that right now.
My channel in descriptor, or can't even know how to use English right now. My channel in particular is real big on like World War II. A lot of my viewers are World War II buffs. I see World War II being a big part of Project Reality. All the wars from World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and now modern day, and even modders going into Halo and Star Wars and future stuff, which I love too. But what is some more? We see. I think it is. I can't even think of the name now. The map. It's a big, beautiful World War II map. It's very popular. Monte Cassino, is that it? Monte Cassino. Yeah.
In OHD? Yeah. So that was our demo map. So all of the maps that are currently in Project Reality are demo maps. Basically because we haven't finished things like vehicles and planes. Like, for instance, we have plans for 4-kilometer, even 8-kilometer maps and beyond. The only problem is, what are you going to do with an 8-kilometer map if you don't have a Jeep to go across it?
Right.
So what we're working on is developing all of the core features and then creating demo maps. Like, so Monte Cassino, like you saw, Monte Cassino is pretty small, right? But that's just because it's like, hey, this is what Operation Harsh Doorstop can look like when we have a 100% completed tiny little level, But once we get vehicles and stuff like that, we're already working on Omaha and Carentan. Omaha's 4 kilometers, Carentan's 2 kilometers. We're working on that. And as time goes on, we want to add in more theaters, more factions, all of the different aircraft and tanks from the World War II era. And the way it's going to work is, because some people ask, and they're like, well, you can't do every single theater of war, can you? And it's like, yeah, we fucking can. Why not? And then they're like, yeah, but it's going to be like 400 gigabytes or like a full terabyte of data. So here's actually the plan. What the plan is we're going to develop this game forever. But every single operation, if it gets too big, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna move it to the Steam Workshop. So you can
pick the theaters you want.
Yes. So what we'll probably do is the base game will probably have all of we'll probably at any given time, Operation Harsh Doorstop will have anywhere from 30 to 50 gigabytes of content. How much content that is, I don't really know. It's going to be that. We're always going to try to keep the core game within that window. Anything else beyond that, either older maps or like older content and stuff like that. Like let's say we have we have Omaha, right? And Omaha's like a 4-kilometer map, or Carentan, right? But then we create like the African, like the desert warfare World War II stuff. What we might do is, in order to make room for that, we'll take the Carentan map and we're just going to move it to the Steam Workshop and then bring in the desert. And then what's going to happen is we're just going to be rinsing and repeating and just bringing in, and all of the content that we finish, we just push out into the Steam Workshop until we get to a point where Steam Workshop is like terabytes of content.
That's a really good idea.
Right,
kind of like
nobody else thinks.
Kind of like MOBAs cycle their characters that are available for free to play.
Yes.
It's
yes.
genius.
Yes. And that's it. And then if anybody, and it gets to a point where it's like, hey, do you guys want more content? Then the more Patreon supporters we have, the more content we make, and then that content, inevitably, if it's not in the core game, we're just going to upload it as official content from our development studio, but just available for free on Steam Workshop. And that way, it's like, if you want to have a server for Operation Harsh Doorstop on Steam, and then just have it so that server is subscribed to all of the World War II maps. And that way you can have a server and it's like, hey, this is a World War II exclusive server, and it has all of the core World War II maps from Operation Harsh Doorstop, and it also has all of the World War II maps from the Steam Workshop. Go subscribe to this collection and join the server. Or automatically, I mean, at some point we're going to hopefully get a system where you can automatically download that content when you get to the server. And that's the plan.
Yeah,
that's how it's going to work.
I mean, not that I would, but you could turn off gore and anything you wanted.
You could.
Have a kid-friendly server.
That is true. Yes. I have we're intentionally developing it so you can configure that as well. Because again, not that we necessarily agree that like not having gore like makes a game better or anything like that, but there's some people where just for logistical or legal reasons need to modify the game in ways that they can't modify other games. We're going to leave all of that completely open. Again, I think that's why people are hopefully going to slowly realize how much of a tool Operation Harsh Doorstop is for them building their own communities and possibly even building their own like streamer presences.
I think like we touched on in our first conversation that hate is going to hate. Like a lot of these people, we're still in that stage where a lot of people are still doubting it, even though it's
what I told you in that conversation.
People want it to fail.
I would totally doubt myself as well. It is, look, so it's a multifaceted question. There is an aspect where it's like, it is absurd that we are the ones that are furthest along making something like this. And I don't mean that in terms of like, because obviously Squad's very far along. I mean in terms of completely free first-person shooter tactical games. Unless you can think of anything else, I don't think there's any other.
I think the biggest selling point is how open it is.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, so specifically talking about like the haters and the people that like dislike the project. I totally get it. It's really ridiculous that our community was the one to get this far. But I'm hoping that we're going to get to a point where, look, it's not like I told you this before. This isn't really my game. It's not my game. This is a game that is developed by a lot of people beyond me. In fact, I don't even like people saying that this is Bluedrake's game. It's not. It's so many other people's game, including people from Squad, from Project Reality, people who worked on those games, people who were instrumental in those games succeeding that people don't even know the name of. Which I honestly think is a big problem in the industry right now, where it's like, the names and faces of people that actually make projects successful are rarely the ones that actually get the credit. That's a big problem, and there's a lot of people that we work with who came onto this project because they believe in the exact same thing that I just told you, that wanted this project to succeed, and they have experience from all of these different spaces. I hope it's going to get to a point where people are not going to just associate this game with me. It's not my game. You are, all of these people who dislike me, you are welcome. I encourage you to dislike me, honestly. Like, I have no problem with that at all. If anything, it makes sense. Project Reality, the communities inside of Project Reality never got along, ever. Like, DRK and Hog had, like, an insane, like, rivalry for years. And then it got to a point, but near the end of that rivalry, we met with some of the higher ups from their community and our community, and we all decided, like, even though everybody doesn't get along, the cool thing about Project Reality is we could all agree on one thing, and that was that we loved that game. We all loved that fucking game. We loved it to death. We hated each other, but we loved that fucking game. and Operation Harsh Doorstop is going to be the same thing. Don't support this project for me. This has nothing to fucking do with me at all. Nothing. It has nothing to do with me.
You were just the catalyst to get it going.
I'm just the fucking person that got this going, and it's dumb. I get it. I'm Bluedrake, right? Like, it's stupid. It's dumb that I was the only one that actually did this when there were so many other people that could have done this and didn't. And and again, going back to why I started this project, the reason I started this project is because I was waiting around for all of the other people who I thought would have not only had way more of a motivation and way more of a reason to make a project like this, but also had more resources to do it with. And as time went on, I started to realize it was never going to happen. all of these people that made millions of dollars because of the work that people did on Project Reality, and then they went on to go make their own projects that were inspired by those projects, all of those people that made insane, and I cannot stress enough, insane amounts of money. Those people were never going to spend that money giving back. And it was really sobering to kind of realize that that was what was going on. And, you know, there could also be an element here. You know, again, I've gotten to a point where I'm so kind of like pessimistic about society, where it's like maybe everybody's selfish. You know, maybe nobody gives a fuck about each other, because there is so many other people. There's so many people who I saw get so much success off of projects that communities had made, and then they went on to kind of like, you know, ride the coattails of and then make bank and give nothing back. But I think if there's maybe one thing for the people that think that I'm just like in this for myself or something like that, one of the reasons maybe I think you should trust me more is because the reason I need this project, the reason I think we all need this project to exist, is because what am I? I'm a
Content
YouTube
creator.
I'm a content creator. I don't sell games. I don't make money selling games. You know, with Project Reality, I made a full-time living off of Project Reality for years. And why did I make a full-time living off of Project Reality? It's because I was selling Project Reality, because the content is the content. I can't really do that anymore because Project Reality is old. And like, we all need a new place to go. And while I love Squad and I love all of those other games, I think we've kind of, you know, back when I originally, back 5 years ago, I kind of started seeing that going down a path where it's like, I'm not going to be able to do my job with those games either, because they're either not going to allow mod support, which is going to limit me being able to do my job because I need to be able to make interesting content, or in some cases, they're going to be so profit motivated where all of the work that I'm going to do, they're just going to kind of take for granted. You know, I've seen so many, I've seen so many mods that people have made for Squad, where it's like, how many copies of their game do you think you've sold for you making that mod?
Yeah, it's like
right?
Karma Cut. Without Karma Cut, I wouldn't even known about Squad.
Exactly. Karma Cut, you think he does not get paid? I mean,
he doesn't get a penny.
All of the people that have spent our lives promoting these projects, maybe because we're used to like the Project Reality days when it was like, it made sense to like, because Project Reality was nonprofit, it was all voluntary, so we all came together, we made that. Yeah. But with some of these commercial projects now, it's like there's still this expectation that we have to come and make the entire game for them and to sell their game for them. But we get nothing. Yeah. Not only do we get nothing, but they slowly start taking away the things that we need to do our job in order for us to survive. So again, for the people that dislike me or the people that like distrust my motives, Operation Harsh Doorstop needs to exist for me to do my job. It needs to be free for me to do my job. I need to have other people who I can do a live stream and I can say, hey, join my server. And people aren't going to say, hey, I can't join your server, I don't have $30. This way I can say, it's completely free. Please join my server so I can make some fucking video content, or so I can build my community and all of that stuff. I need to have other communities there. For instance, Squad Ops, Karma Cut. When Karma Cut started making content for Squad, Karma Cut has probably been one of the best creators that has helped me in so many ways. I want to see more people like that in Operation Harsh Doorstop. And I want to see people working on Operation Harsh Doorstop, not because you care about me. You shouldn't give a shit about me. Don't even fucking... In some ways, I kind of regret even having my face associated with OHD because I feel like I distract from its true mission. Right. And its true mission is to be something for everyone. I feel like, unfortunately, I had to use my platform to like push it and to get it started. But I'm hoping as time goes on, people are going to realize it's not about me. This project is not about me. It's much bigger than me. I need it to succeed for me to be able to do my job. but you all also needed to succeed. So we're all in the same boat, you know?
Exactly. Well, look at my channel. It's
Let me
based
put it this way.
99%.
I'm I'm the crazy guy on the other side of the island who this entire time has been building a boat. And everybody's been saying how I'm fucking crazy. And, oh, we're never going to need a boat. And then 3 years later, everything goes to shit. And everybody's like, oh, fuck, we need a boat. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But the problem is, here's the problem. The boat's still halfway done.
Yeah.
You know?
If only we'd been helping the whole time.
And here's what I need. Instead of people coming over to me and saying, hey, why isn't this boat all the way done? Come help me build this fucking boat so we can get off this fucking island.
If we were all
die. Please.
if we were all helping the entire time instead of judging and criticizing, if we were all helping the entire time, it would be done.
We all need this. It has nothing to do with
It's so true. Like, look at my channel's 99% postscriptum, and I watched every content creator leave that game for years. I stuck with it and stuck with it and stuck with it. And fucking the community. No offense to Snazzy Duckling, but the interaction with the community was almost null. Like, and then when they were working on the armor update, it was like a straight year without saying anything.
Actually, here's another thing. Let me say this to hopefully make you feel better. Because then other people say, you know, like, hey, what if you stop development? Or like, what if you die? What if somebody fucking shoots me and I'm like gone, right? So Project Reality, the development team for Project Reality has been structured where every single developer on that project currently, like, they don't have any of the original devs. Like, it's all gone. Like, it's churned.
Same as Squad. People don't
With
know that.
Operation Harsh Doorstop, I have intentionally structured it so if at any point I am compromised or the community can continue development of it, you do not need me. You do not need me. The SDK is out. It is free.
Exactly.
It has workshop support. You do not need me. And we've actually been talking to GOG.com. I want to get to a point where we can release a version of the game the only reason we're on Steam right now is because Steam has a lot of features, including Steam Workshop, that is just like, there's no way we could possibly pay for that ourselves right now. Like, there's lots of stuff that we just need them for. But at some point, we want to create a new version of the game that is completely platform independent. And what I mean by that is, like, you could fucking pirate it off of Pirate Bay and then, like, download it, install it, and it would work. And not only would it work, I want to be able to set it up so you can configure the master server. So, for instance, you know, like, one of the biggest problems with, like, Battlefield games back in the day, EA stops paying for the fucking master server, right? Project Reality, they had to do all of this work in order to reverse engineer the system in order for them to build their own master server. I want to have Operation Harsh Doorstop have that feature embedded in it.
Right.
So you can just go into the settings. I want to make it a launch parameter, so that way what you can do is you can have a shortcut on your desktop so you can launch the games separately, so that way it automatically by default connects to a new master server, which means that modders could create modded versions of Operation Harsh Doorstop, distribute it, but then have their shortcut connect to a master server that has nothing to do with it. So that way, seriously, if I am ever compromised and not able to continue development of Operation Harsh Doorstop, you could literally take it, distribute it without me, and connect it to a completely standalone master server that has nothing to do with our control. It's completely not controllable by us.
And for the record, you are not suicidal and never will be.
No. Yeah, like, I'm about to get fucking... Yeah, right?
Behind you!
About to get fucking Epstein. Yeah, that's going to be rough.
All right, so check it out. We got
scary.
Yeah, right. We got a few questions, a bunch of questions about Operation Horse Doorstop, and then we're going to mix it up a bit. One guy asked, will there be player-to-player? Because I saw briefly, it was probably a mod, but, I mean, hey, that's what the whole game's going to be. Do you think there will be player-to-player air combat, or is that something in the future you'll look at or no?
That's something that we want to get into the base game. So that's something I already even showed. So in my latest video, there's already people that are working on an F-15 mod, and it's already flying, and it's already going around. You can launch bombs with it and stuff. And he's got an Apache in there as well. There's already guys working. The same guy that made the helicopter mod for Squad was already poking around at OHD, I believe, and there's a number of other people that are also developing air systems for OHD. A couple of them we've already brought into the core development team, and we're hoping to incorporate that
Cool.
stuff.
I believe you showcased the plane briefly on your channel, didn't you? I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, briefly. I mean, it's shit, but like it's a fucking plane. Like
Hey,
it's there.
hey.
It's like, again, it's a matter of making this stuff better. It's unreal. Everything is possible. I mean, fuck, if you had enough time, you could make. I mean, I've seen people create entire planets in like Unreal SDKs.
Exactly.
Like you could theoretically create Star Citizen if you have infinite time and effort available.
Now, all those big content things like maps and vehicles and this is cool and all, but I'm more into the minute, the micro, the feel of the game per se, the gunplay. Little things add up. One of the questions is free look ever coming up? Operation Hardcore
Yes. All of the base things. So I would say, look, we're not going to fight anybody on this. All of the base features that you want in the game, we want in the game too. I don't think there's any of those things that we're going to say, oh no, we're not. I mean, if you ask me if we wanted crosshairs in the game, I'm going to be like, no. You can make a mod for that, but that's not going to be a base game feature. So that's stuff where it's or well, actually, you know what? I don't want to eat my words or anything. If it was implemented, it would be like Arma, where you'd have like difficulty settings, I guess. But we're always going to have the game be focused on being like a tactical shooter. But there's no feature that I think that anybody's gonna suggest that is in other games that we're gonna be like, no, hell no, we're never gonna do that.
Right on. Now, you mentioned Unreal Engine 5. What is the scope? What do you think? I mean, I would imagine this would be, at least a couple years down the road. Am I wrong?
Just depends. And it also depends how much we can get out of Unreal Engine 5. So Unreal Engine 5 doesn't really do as much as I think people think it does.
It does really pretty.
But it's not, I mean, it's not even that pretty if you don't use it correctly. That's the thing. Like, Unreal Engine 5 is not just like a make game good button. Like there's lots of things inside of it that is, I think people are still kind of scratching the surface as to what Unreal Engine 5 can be used for. It's not just like a straight upgrade. It's more of like a complete refactor of how Unreal Engine works, period. And yes, there's lots of advantages that brings, but there's also a lot of like, is it worth upgrading to right now when we could be spending that time on other stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah, like, I mean, because like, what would you rather have, helicopters or Unreal Engine 5? Like with fucking, like, I mean, yeah, Unreal 5's cool, but like, it's not gonna just make all those features happen. So we're focusing more on like the core experience, and then when it makes sense and we have more free time, and it's like, fuck it, yeah, let's just do.
Allow me to add to your answer. If all you guys watching this were like coders and you all came today, we'd be in Unreal Engine 5 within a year.
We would be done. Yes.
All right,
exactly.
So you inspired Dr. Disrespect and now Big Fry making their own game. I would say you did.
Disrespect. Maybe.
I would say you. He may not know you from Adam.
Disrespect was inspired by me. I am unaware.
I am sure I'm sure he probably doesn't follow you or anything like that. But I'm sure. I'm sure the idea came. I'm sure somebody was like, "Hey, this guy named Bluedrake." Well, if he did or not, I know Big Fry. You were definitely inspired by Big Fry.
Possibly, I don't know.
What would you, if you had to give them, advice on creating your own game?
I did that. I made a video talking about that. Again, I guess I can kind of paraphrase. The main thing I think that is the biggest threat to game making is how you organize your development team. It really is. It's management. It's all management. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm a manager and that's just like all I see. But I don't think so. I think all of the biggest problems that you've seen in all of the games that you like the most are all management related. Even the squad situation that everybody's frustrated about right now. It's a management issue. Dead Matter, management. Like it's not like these teams don't have talented people. on their books. You know, it's like it's not that the people to make these games don't exist. It's just that they're not organized, and they're not incentivized in the correct ways that result in making a good game. And I think that's something that I specialize in. I tried to explain this to people back in the day. You know, I was like, oh, they were like, oh, what do you do? And it's like, I'm a project manager. And they're like, and I'm like, okay, well then, you know, continue enjoying playing around with projects that crash and burn, not because of like, you know, asset creation issues, but project management issues, you know, like, and that's the thing. That's the make or break aspect for all of this. It's all management, and management is definitely an art in many ways, but there are just some straight up basic shit that you can do to just by a factor of 1,000 increase the likelihood of your game succeeding.
That is such a good answer. That could even go towards like people talk about.
Main thing is contracts. Make sure everybody's on a goddamn contract, and also make sure your contracts
right.
aren't shitty.
I do remember that video now. I remember the exact video you're talking about.
There's so many, you know, it's so many games that start out like bands. It's like, yeah, we're all friends. Let's get together and make a game, and then they all fucking hate each other and stab each other.
Well, I think you being in a band probably helps a lot.
Yeah,
I was in a band as a kid. I was in a.
All my band members were on contracts. You know, it's like the same. Thank God they were. We've had some hella bad, crazy band members in the past. So like,
yeah, man. Especially like rock, especially like I was in a band, metalcore, whatever you want to call it. I got to play with my favorite bands of all time: Zayo, Darkest Hour, Under Oath, Throwdown, 18 Visions, just bands I always admired.
Kill Switch and Attack and shit.
Oh, cool, Attack. They were like the techno metal.
Yeah, exactly. We did a Parkway Drive. That was our biggest opening show. That was pretty sick.
Oh wow, you guys remind me of like Deftones, like Tool, like almost like.
Yeah, we've got also. We're a smorgasbord of influences for sure.
But you definitely have that technical aspect that most bands don't have, like the progression, the progressive. Time signatures and
we do that.
I'm a big fan. Just wanted to say that anyway. But thanks, what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so everybody knows 90% of my channel is a big fan of Postscriptum and are devastated how we're just sitting here in this limbo. If Big Dog Blue BD42 could take the reins of PS right now, what and how? This is a viewer question. I think it's
I never should have told that game. In fact, I made a video way back in the day where as soon as I saw that they were selling the game, or selling it as a standalone game, that was like a massive red flag for me. I caught a lot of flack from that. You know, I caught a lot of flack. You know, even the developers of Postscriptum gave me a lot of shit, and now they're all fired. You know, and it's just like it's not even. It's at a point where it's not even like a gotcha. It's not even like, haha, I told you so. Like, it's just sad.
It's
sad.
You
know, like, it's just like nobody's fucking winning here. No one.
So basically, you're saying it should have stayed a mod within Squad.
It should have either stayed a mod, or Squad should have just bought them out and put it in as a free add-on to the base game. I don't know why the fuck they didn't do that. In fact, honestly, you know, you look at Beyond the Wire. You look at how many copies Squad has been selling, and you look at how many copies Beyond the Wire has been selling, and it's like, dude, did Beyond the Wire really make more money than it would have made Squad if you just put it in the base fucking Squad game as a free update? Like, it's really not a money maker here. You know, like, you really probably could have worked out some kind of an arrangement where you could have made that a free aspect of your game, and you wouldn't, and you probably wouldn't have just not lost money. You would have made more than you made by trying to spin it off into this weird like thing. And again, especially with the emotes, one of my predictions now is I find it ironic that they're using emotes as an excuse for to fund game development. My prediction at this point is game development is going to slow to the slowest it's ever been in the history of the game, because that's the issue. Because look at Insurgency Sandstorm. Has development of Insurgency Sandstorm in any way accelerated since they put in that marketplace?
Hell no.
Fuck no. If anything, it's gone the exact opposite direction. I am seeing a similar trend with Squad.
I'd rather play the original Insurgency, but that's just me.
Right, and I think that's the issue is the way that the money works, especially in projects that take investors, right? Because the objective isn't to spend that money wisely. The objective is to make more money than the money that you're already making, because the money, all of the money that you're already making is already going to somebody that has claimed it. You know, so like, let's say you've got a board of directors. Even if there's a board of directors that does jack all, well, they're going to take what, like 80% of the game. And a lot of these games that have like boards of directors that take like shit tons, well, like a massive percentage of the revenue, right? They're not going to give up that revenue, right? It's almost like real estate, right? It's like once somebody owns that real estate, it's not like they're gonna share it. It's like they own it, right? So it's the same thing with squad. So like, or any of these other games. Imagine you've got a board of directors, you got investors, right? And they bought a 40%, 50%, 60, 70% share of the company.
10
They
cents.
want all that money. They're not going to give it up, right? But usually what happens is those investors are not developers themselves. They're not developers themselves. They're not adding anything to the game. They're not making the game better. They're just capital executive funds, right? But they've still taken this massive share, which means that 30% that's left is what is left to the people that are actually hired to work on the game, right? These microtransactions and stuff like that, this is my, again, I don't work at these places, so I have no idea. Like, I just know these people, and I talk to the people that get fired at a lot of these different studios, and I kind of like get information about how all, and I've just seen this long track record of how things go. So usually when you have a project like this, especially a project that is as profitable as it is, but then they start saying we're going to put in all these microtransactions in order to keep the lights on. That's not keeping the lights on for the investors. It's keeping the lights on for the skeleton crew of people that are still left, that are getting like the minority of shares to pay for their salaries, for them to continue developing the game. Which means that for those people, their objective is to like let's say hypothetically, let's say you've got a game and it's owned by an investor and they own 100% of the game. But then they go on to like, I don't know, Upwork or Fiverr or whatever, wherever the hell these people find developers. And they say, hey, developer, well, I own 100% of this game, but I'll tell you what, if I hire you and you can make my game make 110% of the money that it's getting, I'll let you have that 10%. Right? So now their objective isn't to like keep the lights on, it's to take this already incredibly profitable entity, but then make it slightly more profitable so that the skeleton crew can get that little sliver of money in order to survive. But that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense from like an efficiency standpoint.
And that's where the soul is lost.
It doesn't fucking work. It just doesn't work.
That's where the soul of the development studio is lost. That's how you have these soulless studios that are all corporate.
So that's why you get into this vicious cycle where you have these projects that are like clearly profitable, and like not just profitable, but like really fucking profitable, that are still complaining about how they have no money. It's not the investors complaining that they have no money. It's the skeleton crew that gets the scraps that are left over, saying, hey, we got to put in these microtransactions so we can eat.
Yeah, fresh out of college, eating ramen noodles.
YouTube takes 45%, right?
Something like that.
What do you think would be easier? To convince YouTube to give you a higher percentage, or to ask for more donations from your viewers? That's what's happening. It's getting to the point where you got the skeleton crew working on this game, and it's like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to ask the investors to like give up some of the shit ton of money that they have? Or are we just going to ask our players to give us more money, so that way we can so the few developers that are left that are not getting paid a proper wage can maybe continue? And the investors let it happen, because they're just like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, you guys want to, if you guys can make this game make 110% money, then I'm keeping the 100%, but I'll let you have the 10. You know, Yeah, and it's fucked. It's unsustainable. It's fucked.
Definitely.
It's not going to work. Insurgency Sandstorm did the same thing. I'm sure there's some investor somewhere who's very, very happy about how Insurgency Sandstorm has worked out. But you know who's not happy about how
The
Insurgency
people
Sandstorm
making the
has worked out?
game.
It was not just the people that are making the game; it's the people fucking who play it. You know, like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just, like it's everybody else loses, and that's how that's at the end of the day that's capitalism, right? It's fucking capitalism.
Yep.
It's like everybody fuck everyone else, you lose. But you know what else is capitalism? Competition. And projects like ours, like that's
Yep.
the only real way that you defeat this, because that's what everybody says. Like they're like, oh, I'm gonna protest this, and like I'm gonna stop the development team from doing these things that I don't like, because man, it's not gonna work. They don't give a fuck about you. The only way to truly put a stop to this is to make their same shit and give it away for free. That's it.
Exactly.
It's the only fucking way. Make all the YouTube videos bitching about it that you like. All of them. It will not affect fucking anything. Because what they're gonna do is they're gonna test the waters, right? I've seen this forever. Because they're gonna put something in and they're gonna see how much people hate it. And then they're gonna dial it back to the absolute minimum that they have to dial it back to make it so people still hate it, but they put up with it, right? They're gonna push that as far as they can fucking go, And if you have nowhere else to go, if you have no other games to play, if you have no alternatives, if there's no free alternatives out there for you to go to,
you're gonna put up with it.
Then you're gonna put up with it, and they're gonna fuck you as hard as they can. That's.
I think gamers are finally looking for an Operation Hard Stores. I think it's gonna do way better. I don't know. I hope it's gonna do really big. We'll see.
There's a lot of people that still, I think. I'm at this point because there's a couple of people that were like, I'm going to review bomb your game because it doesn't have fucking helicopters yet. And it's like, dude, fucking do it, man. Again, it's like I'm the guy on the other side of the island with my half-built boat. And the island's on fire, right? And I've been building this boat for the past 2 years, and everybody said I was crazy. Now I got this half-built boat. Now everybody came over. And it's like, you've got the people that are like, well, if you don't build the boat faster, I'm going to fucking destroy it. It's like, do it. Do it. I don't fucking care. Let's all fucking die.
Let's all die.
I don't give a shit.
Dude, it's so true. Like, I'm a little older than you. I'm 30.
You want to review bomb my free game that we all fucking need to survive? Fucking do it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, right. So I'm a little older. I'm 38 years old, and when I was a kid, like, if you went up in front of the classroom and, like, presented something you made, like, he's brave. Like, you were brave. Like, even if it was, like, a smiley face or something stupid, like, he was brave to stand up in front of everybody. Nowadays, you show something, they're like...
made the equivalent of a AAA game
Yeah,
free,
exactly. Fuck you and die.
Great,
like,
dude.
burn in hell.
I love it. It's good. It's like, but yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I think it's going to work out because I think what's going to happen is, again, I have no idea how launch day is going to go. Maybe we're going to get ripped a new asshole. I have no idea. But the problem is that I feel like what's going to happen is people are going to rip us a new asshole. And then they're going to realize, why the fuck am I ripping this free project a new asshole? Like, what am I getting
hopefully.
out of, like, attacking this project?
Hopefully they
Nothing.
mature.
Like, the only thing that you have to get out of this project is what you put into it. That's it. If you come to the project and you shit all over it, okay, enjoy your other games that you hate.
And these are kids. These are usually. I mean, I hate to sound like a grumpy old man, but these are usually younger kids that have no idea. They haven't been around gaming long enough to realize that the 99% of innovation in gaming comes from the one kid in his basement modding a game, a small independent studio.
Yeah, that's true.
From Battle Royale. Look at Battle Royales. It came from the mod scene.
And that's what we want to build, something that lets that happen.
And that's exactly what Bluedrake here is trying to do, is bring back that.
So hard. Got my little fucking boat on the other side of the island making it. Go faster, Bluedrake! I fucking like that, dude. How did you come help me? No! Okay! Your boat sucks! I don't care!
Now, we would be perfect to segue out of here on this, because I think we covered everything, but there's one, I kind of got to make a left turn, because my channel recently blew up on a World War II online video, and I know
Yeah, I
you
love World
used,
War II Online.
I know you used to be a big proponent, like creator covering their stuff, and their games come a long way in the past 20 years. One thing for people who don't know, it's literally a half scale of Western Europe that
Yeah, it's
is
dope.
in a months long perpetual wars,
You want me to
just
tell you
like
something that's gonna
Foxhole.
blow your fucking mind?
Hit me.
I'm really good friends with Zoom. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I've recently
Like,
been talking to him myself.
really good
Recently.
friends with Zoom.
Yeah, he's a
We've been
cool cat.
talking about what it would take to utilize their server architecture in order to create a 1,000-player OHD server.
So they own proprietary rights to what makes that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
Wouldn't that be so sick?
Well, they're
If we
trying
could
to,
figure that
yeah,
out?
dude.
Because we've been talking to them about maybe trading, because they're trying to migrate to Unreal, right?
Yeah.
And we have an Unreal game, so we were like, hey, maybe we help you all out, and then in exchange you help us like create like an option for server hosters where they could like rent servers from you all, but rent servers from you all that power 1,000-player servers.
And
for
you got
OHD.
people in the comments that are ripping them like, oh, their subscriptions. I don't think people realize that the almost 99% of the staff is basically volunteer over there at World War II
Actually,
Online.
that's another thing. So I want to say, World War II Online and us are not that different. I mean, their business model is a little bit different, but like they're a free game. You can play their game for free, right? And then like you can also donate. But let me put it this way. Lots of games on Steam that are just like one-time purchase games have a set lifespan, right? One of the reasons I wanted to make a game like Operation Harsh Doorstop be based around like community, voluntary, monthly donations is because that business model, like, yes, it doesn't make things as fast, but it powers it fucking forever. And that's what we want. You look at World War II Online, and again, imagine if World War II Online was on Unreal, which is what they're doing right now. They've been developing that game for like 20 fucking years, and it has an insane number of features. The only problem is it's just on really old tech. But like if they were on, I feel like in some ways they're kind of in the same boat as Project Reality. In fact, I don't know if you know like how like about the history of that. Do you know like the history of Zoom and like how that worked? Because
No,
Zoom,
not necessarily.
Zoom just used to be a player.
Oh yeah,
He used
yeah,
to
yeah.
be a player. He worked his way up to get to the point where he's like owning, where he owns the project.
Yeah, he owns it. Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of like if the Project Reality team slowly somehow bought the rights
Battlefield
to
2.
Battlefield 2. It's like that's kind of the arc of like what happened with World War II Online. It's pretty fucking dope. But that's why I'm saying like I think it's kind of cool. Like if imagine if Project Reality like was able to somehow get the rights to the source code of Battlefield 2, like how much more could they fucking do? That's kind of what World War II Online has done, and I think that's why you've been seeing like a big uptick in like progress that they've been making lately, because it's this team that's finally gotten all of the rights to the core source code, and they're just like expanding on it now. And dude, if they do their Unreal their migration, that could be, I'm sure it's going to be a while for them to get to a point where they can have a game that like looks as good as other games and stuff like that. I mean, that's going to be a whole arc, but if they pull it off, man, that's going to be fucking sick, and we're hoping to, again, we're in a situation where our studio, like, we just want as many people to succeed as possible. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I want to help. Like, you help me. Like, I help you. We're all in the same fucking boat. So we try to help those guys out a lot. They help us out a lot. We have a really great relationship with each other. And all of the other studios, we've had a lot of other studios that have helped us, and that when we help them, the SCP guys, I don't know if you know this, but Alberny, the technical animator and one of the programmers for SCP Pandemic, which is now SCP-5K, he actually came in and he like rewrote our entire weapon handling system, which is why it's like so much better.
It's incredible. It's like probably one of the best in any present game.
Yes,
like it shows the trigger discipline and all the little details.
Kind of stuff I want to see. I hope I get to see more from people. We have people coming in and they're just like, yo, I know how to help you make your game better. Pay me a little bit of money. I'm going to come in. I'm going to just like rock your whole world. It's like, fuck yeah. We've had Roy Awesome, the lead programmer who implemented vehicles in Squad, worked for us for 6 months for like
awesome.
a dog shit rate because he loved the project and he just wanted to help. Lots of stuff like that has happened.
I saw you comment. the comment you made on World War II Online, I agree wholeheartedly. If they could do one thing, is to be able to get in and out of the vehicles. Like, you have to pin yourself in one or not.
But I think if there was ever a time that kind of, one of the reasons I'm more vocal about that stuff is because now that I know where they're at in terms of like their access to the source code of the project and how it's like all new management, I think if there was ever a time for them to start implementing stuff like that, they maybe now have the manpower and the legal control in order to do that stuff.
Yeah, I had to ask about World War II Online because I did a video 7 months back, and
you play the shit out of that game, man. The cool thing about that game is if you, I not only do I think you would love it, but like Zoom, super active in the community.
He plays all the time himself.
Yeah, he will love you if you work with him, and he'll help you with all sorts of great ways.
Oh yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I did a video like 7 months back, and it teetered out at like 11K views, and all of a sudden in the past couple weeks it went up to 120. It's by far my biggest video. So I'm like 1,000 subscribers came from this video. So I had to ask for those viewers. I had to ask.
Keep playing it.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it.
I mean, again, it would be cool eventually if we could get to a point where we could like utilize, if we could have some kind of arrangement with Zoom, and like we could maybe even have like 1,000 player servers for OHD using their architecture and stuff like that.
That would be incredible. Imagine a World War One. Imagine a World War I 500 charge on a 500.
Yeah, or even a modern. You know, like if you had like a modern.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
All sorts of crazy stuff.
Having like freaking 40, 50 helicopters loaded up.
All right, man. I hate to say this.
Oh no, I hear you. We have worn it out.
Great talk. Yeah. Let me know if you have any other questions. Just hit me up. And besides that, like every single day, we just out here grinding, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing that, guys. Down below, hit the Patreon. Send me your links in DM right now if you don't mind, so I have them for my video. And
sure.
God bless Operation Harsh Doorstop. God bless everybody at Drake and Labs. God bless you, Blue Drake. And I'll see you on the flip side, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Take care, man. No problem, dude. Anytime.
Alright, I hope everybody enjoyed the interview as much as I did conducting it. Of course, I get to give a special shout out to my channel members and newest member, RazHZ. Hit me on DM, let me know how you want to be represented in the end screen. As you can see, I've ran out of Mil-Simp space. I'll have to make a new graphic for you. Consider becoming a Mil-Simp minion, joining the channel membership, hitting that blue join button. Support me and my channel and this Mil-Simp genre as a whole. There's no better time to be a viewer of the channel. We're giving away so many awesome Steam keys. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn notifications on so you don't miss a video. Make sure y'all are getting in on this giveaway. We're averaging like sub 5 entries a week, so your freaking odds are incredible right now. I will see you boys in the next one. Y'all be good to each other.